All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, entrepreneurs without limits, and welcome to our episode 10 in our series on your code of life and living, the mindset of life. And we've gone over prior episodes, 9 episodes, dealing with the very important subject of mindset. Now, for those of you who have not viewed the prior episodes or only viewed a portion of them, I encourage you to go back and watch those, and you'll find those in the Entrepreneurs Without Limits group. It's a public group, and you'll find it under the units section, and you'll see that it has Mindset Code of Living. So what we're going to be talking about tonight, it's night up here in Whitefish, and the wind is blowing outside really hard, blowing, snowing. It's 4 degrees Fahrenheit outside with a 40-mile-an-hour gust of wind. So anyway, it's cold outside. So fortunately, we're here together, and we're going to be talking about a very important topic. Now, let me talk a little bit about mindset once again. I'm going to let you go back and review the introductory episode 1. And in that episode, I define mindset. But here's one of the reasons that mindset is so very important. You see, it's your life. What you do with your life, the decisions you make, the actions you take, the results you get, all of those are ultimately your decision. And this is one of the key points that I make throughout this mindset program, throughout the development and the integration of your code of life and living. Because ultimately, you need to be in charge of your life. And that's one of the reasons that mindset is so very important. It is also one of the reasons that the way mindset is normally explained and taught does not put you in that position. It's kind of like having several different pairs of shoes. You know, if you look at the way mindset is traditionally explained and taught, there's a money mindset, there's a gratitude mindset, there's a success mindset. There's all sorts of different mindsets, and they're kind of like having a pair of running shoes, dancing shoes, jogging shoes, water shoes, no shoes. You pick the shoe for the given occasion, and that's your mindset for that occasion. And when you're not worried about that, you don't have a mindset. Well, that in fact can work, and it does. It is proven to work in those focused areas. But what we're after is to create a life that is fulfilling, satisfying, and successful over a very broad spectrum of life experiences. So if you have a mindset of life that you integrate into your life, that you practice, that you develop, that you master, that ultimately becomes your code of life and living. And then you have mastery over every element of your life, because everything you do is congruent and integrated into a given purpose and vision. And so that's why mindset is so very important, and the way that we're teaching it here in the Code of Life and Living, in the Entrepreneurs Without Limits group. It's important. Part of the reason is because, as you know, my definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who identifies the needs of people and then has the courage, conviction, and the resourcefulness to connect those people with a means of fulfilling their needs. That doesn't mean that you have to invent, design, test, build, ship, support a product. It means that you are resourceful in finding a way to connect those people with the right solution. And there may be multiple right solutions, but the one that you find comes uniquely from your heart, your soul, and your mind, even if somebody else came up with it. Your job is to elevate those people to a new plane of existence such that they can make a difference in the lives of others and move their world forward. That's a pretty heady task, but it's also a load of fun, seriously. But to get there, to be able to do that in a consistent manner, in a manner that is uniquely you, your mindset must reflect that. And so it is that that's how I designed this code of life and living. So we are now up to a very important section of mindset. Now, prior to this, we've gone over a number of topics. The 3Ds, dream, desire, decision. We've talked about purpose to a certain extent, in as much as it relates to putting your desires into a certain order such that you had an idea what that purpose might be. And then we talked about the broad category of attitude, where we went into values and beliefs and feelings and thoughts, behaviors and consequences. Now, all of that has brought us up to a point where now we're going to talk about purpose and vision, two very important topics, for they become the core of your code of life and living. Now, I want to once again reiterate that things can change. As you move forward in life, as you integrate the code of life and living into your existence, into your future, ultimately what's going to happen is you will gain new, more clear clarity, if you will, more powerful clarity, deeper clarity. That will prompt you to change in positive and good ways, which will make you grow. And when you grow, you necessarily revise all of the things that have clarity in your life: the vision, purpose, thought, action, results. And so now you have a greater degree of clarity. And this is a cyclical phenomenon that just continues to feed itself and it grows. Very critical point in all of that is your purpose and your vision. Now, I have taught on purpose and vision multiple times, but it's so important that I need to integrate it into this series. It's the core, it's the kernel, if you will, of that which you will live in your pursuit of fulfillment, success, and living life on your terms. So what is purpose? Purpose is the external manifestation of your desires, simply put. In other words, it's what the world sees of you, your accomplishments, your contributions. They don't necessarily know what's inside of you, but they see the result of what's inside of you through your purpose. How you show up to the world, how you meet your purpose, the impact you make, the legacy you leave. And it doesn't have to be a giant, stellar, multi-continental endeavor. It can be whatever it is in your world to make your world a better place. Your world can be one person. It can be a child. It can be your significant other. It could be your church, your school, your community, your state, your country. It could be, in fact, the entire world. But that is up for you to define. Your world and how your purpose impacts that world is uniquely you. And that's why that purpose is based on your desires. And this is why back in that 3D section, dreams, desires, and decision, what I recommended you do is to list as many desires that you come up with, where a desire is a dream that has an emotional significance to you. List those, categorize them, study it, understand what they all mean, and find where it is pointing you. What is the purpose it's pointing you to? Knowing full well that you may not have a complete and clear definition of that purpose, but nevertheless, it's pointing you in a direction, and that's enough to get started. Because now we have come through the attitude section where we've talked about all the various topics that are integrated into that very broad topic. And now we're at the point where we're going to talk about purpose. Now you want to get clearer about your purpose. So you've gone through some of the toughest parts of integrating mindset into your life. You've gone through the attitude section. You've challenged your values and beliefs. You now know what it takes to control your thoughts, your feelings. And there's a lot more to it than I've taught here, but I tried to give you the basics so that you could understand, comprehend, and get started on it without having to go through the entire program. But I do encourage you to stay in touch, because we will be launching that entire program in the not too distant future. But that said, your purpose is how you show up in the world. It's what people see of who you are. Now, vision, on the other hand, vision is an internal process. Vision is your vision of who you need to become in order to deliver that purpose to the world. And yes, it's how you show up in the world, but here's how that works. It's how you show up in the world through your purpose. Your vision is who you will become. It is your manifesto for becoming the person who is worthy, capable, and deserving of delivering your purpose to the world. So they're integrated, they are related. And this is one of the reasons that very oftentimes purpose precedes vision. Because once you understand your purpose, once you see the impact you're going to have on people, and you have that mental movie of people receiving your purpose, how happy and joyful and successful and fulfilled they are, how their needs are met, and how that integrates into their life and moves them forward to a new plane of existence, where they now leave a totally different life. They leave a life behind and they enter into a journey to a new life. And all of that because of you. Because of your purpose. You see that picture, you have the feelings, it excites you, that prompts you to define who you must become. It pulls you forward to become that person, to go beyond, to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of the box, to go forward and endure the challenges of life. When you want to quit, you keep on going. Because you know the person that can deliver that purpose is inside of you, and you want to let that out. That's why vision oftentimes follows purpose. But it can be the other way around. If you have a vision of who it is you want to become, you know that that's what's inside of you. You're capable of it. You want that. But now you're saying, but why? Why do I want to become that person? What is it within me that is creating this burning desire to be that person? Your desires are pointing you in that direction. There's a reason for that, and the reason for that is your purpose. Because you, in and of yourself, becoming that person must have a purpose. The two go together. So now you're in search of a purpose, and you will find it. Because the burning desire to become that person will manifest a purpose into your life. That's a lesser circumstance, if you will, but it is still something that does in fact happen. So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about intro to purpose. We're going to be talking about the basics of it. We'll go into more detail in subsequent episodes. But I want to get into the purpose and vision discussion as it is an introductory level. So I've told you what a purpose is, the external manifestation of your desires targeted at your world. Your world is what? As I've said, it is what you define it to be. Why? Because it's uniquely you. Your purpose is you. It is your life. It is your direction. Here you are exercising your values and your beliefs. You value certain characteristics. You value certain things in your life, certain things that you enjoy and you love, certain things that you respect and admire. You have beliefs that prompt you to go in certain directions in life, to be associated with certain types of people, with certain populations and societies and cultures. Whatever those are, they come together to give you a purpose to make a difference in your world. And as I've said, whether that's one person, whether it's an organization, whether it's an entire town or city, state, country, province, prefecture, whatever, it's up to you. That's your focus. But I'll tell you this, when you have a purpose that even begins with one person, it's hard to hold it back to one person, because when you start to see what you're capable of, it's going to expand to a much larger population, to a much larger vision of who you are becoming, and you're going to want to let that person out to make a change in the world, so as you define it. Now, vision. You see, we all have more within us than we're willing to admit. Where we really believe we're capable of doing a certain thing, to becoming a certain person, that's only the beginning. And I don't know what the percentage is, but let's just say that it's maybe 20, 25, 30% max. You've got another 70% buried inside of you. You just don't know it. But here's the interesting thing. As you generate this new person in your life, and you get momentum behind it, and you start seeing the results, and your purpose starts to happen, all of a sudden your vision of who you can become ratchets up another level. And now you're going after that other 70%. But wait, there's more. All of a sudden, You've got more than that 70% inside of you. Well, now you've used up some of the 70%, but it expanded. Yeah, now you're back down to the 10 or 20% level. You've grown, you've become more, but now there's so much more inside of you that you realize and you're aware of because of your experiences, because of the things you've gone through, the wisdom you've gained. All of that expands your vision. And so it is that your purpose expands. See how this works? This is very similar to the cyclical phenomenon of mindset, where greater clarity begets change, which begets growth, which begets more clarity. And so it is that as your purpose begins to manifest and you become the person of your vision, all of a sudden you find that your purpose can be greater and more powerful, which drives you to become a greater version of yourself. And this never ends. This is a lifelong pursuit. And all of this is part of your code of life and living, your mindset of life. That's why it's so very important to understand that mindset is not like a pair of shoes. It's the shell you live in. It's your body, it's your mind, it's your soul. It's all of that integrated together to make the world a better place. That's it. That's the intro to purpose and vision. Powerful. So, having said that, I hope you got some value out of tonight's session, today's session, wherever you may be. And we'll be going into episode 11, which is going to go a little bit deeper into purpose. We're going to start talking about how you integrate all of the various elements of your desires and your attitude into this purpose and how it integrates with vision. And we're go into a little greater detail. We've already covered quite a bit here, actually, but we're going to go into a little more detail because it is so very, very important. And then we're going to talk, after we get through the purpose and vision, I'm going to talk about a special module, a very powerful core element of your code of life and living. And I won't tell you what that is, but let me put it this way. It is what takes your purpose and your vision and breaks it down into the differentiated actions that you must take in order to get the results you seek. Very powerful module. Okay, so once again, thank you for those who are on live. Appreciate it. For those who watch the replay, appreciate you too, and hope you can get some live sessions in the future. Once again, this is Dana Scranton, and you've been watching Entrepreneurs Without Limits and your code of life and living. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.